What's it say about your political party if Barack Obama is seen as conservative? 2012 was when I first would have had the chance to vote for the first time. I was too young for McCain and Obama. I would have never voted for either of them. I hated, and to the day he died, I hated John McCain, and he was one of the worst politicians we've ever had. I know some people for whatever reason love the man. Now that he's gone, apparently he was the greatest politician we've ever had. But the dude was he was all over the place, and I did not like him. I didn't like him then. I don't like him now. And Romney wasn't any better. Romney was the same way. He was all over the place. That's why he lost to Obama. He was a straight shooter, more down the middle to the more obviously more left leaning, but he was more down the middle than the other guys. Uh, but if you listened at the time, because I was really into politics at the time. This is when I was first getting into it. Obama was running. I was listening to everybody. I was much more conservative than I am now. I started listening in Atlanta. I was listening to Mark Levin, Michael Savage, what's his name, Neil Bortz, and Herman Cain. Those are my four. I listened to those guys, all of them. I loved them. Still, I stopped listening to Mark Levin and Michael Savage. They were a little too out there for me. Neil Bortz, he's more of the libertarian type. I didn't agree with that man all the time, but I liked his moxie. You know, he whenever he wanted something or whatever he was gonna make a point, he believed in it 100%. I liked that. Even if I disagreed with a lot of stuff, he had a lot of more libertarian views, but he also had a lot of boomer old man views that he didn't like. And Herman Cain, I would have voted for that man. He was way more conservative than I would have ever voted for now, or even for me at the time. But I liked the guy, and I actually wanted to vote for him. Anyway, all that to say that Barack Obama back then was seen as a Marxist, the Antichrist. This is what we're looking back on, and now we're being told he's a conservative. If you'd have listened to Rush Limbaugh or Mark Levin or one of them guys back then, they'd have told you the man suckles at the teat of Karl Marx. He had connections to him his whole life. Secret Muslim man, that kind of stuff. But now we've got this article, and it shows you how far to the left these people have gone. That Barack Obama is considered conservative, I guess. These people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are now I guess they're where the center of the left where they want to be now. I guess if I was to give Obama, if we're at a line here, and this is zero. Obama is on the left side, from 0 to, let's say each side is 50 at the max. 50 is a communist, and the other side is whatever you want to be. But Obama's probably a 15 to a 20 towards the Democratic side, or Democrat side. He did a lot of things that, at the time, people, especially Republicans, were losing their mind over. But if you read this article, they're going to tell you that Obama is a straight conservative. Let me read this first paragraph, and we'll talk about it some more. The Democrats who want to be the president can't figure out how to talk about the most popular figure in their party. Former President Barack Obama casts a long shadow over the 2020 primary campaign. Preserving Obama's legacy is at the heart of the former Vice President Joe Biden's pitch to voters, which has allowed his rivals to mark him as complacent. More left-leaning candidates, such as Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, say the next president needs to do more to push for health care reforms, combat income inequality. But lately, she's struggling to sell her proposals. One-time Obama candidate Secretary Julian Castro has ripped his former boss's record on immigration and deportation. Meanwhile, South Bend, Indiana, Mayor Pete Buttigieg raced to have a reporter correct a story, misquoting him, citing failures of the Obama era. Senator Kamala Harris said Wednesday's debate that it's crucial to rebuild the Obama coalition because that's the last time he won. Picking and choosing which parts of the Obama tenure to embrace and how to firmly embrace them has become a delicate game in the primary season. And it's gonna keep showing up that these guys are going to rip Obama while at the same time trying to get those same voters in. But you're seeing the far left version of everything these days. Ripping Obama on immigration and deportation is just looking at it through a current lens. Where at the time, that was a big issue, but nobody wanted to answer the immigration problem. Obama at the time obviously introduced DACA, but apparently that's not good enough anymore. You've got to want a full amnesty for everybody. You got to give them free health care and stuff. Like, it's just pushing it more and more and more. There's no way you can ever call Obama's immigration policy conservative. I mean, he definitely had a lot more deportations and incarcerating more illegals than anybody else before him. But that was just part of the times. There was a lot more illegals coming in over his tenure, and it's just what had to be done. You can't just allow them to come in. Like I said, he's more towards the middle than some of the other Democrats, but these current ones are way off, way flying to the side. This guy, through executive order, without a law, introduced DACA, and that wasn't good enough for these people. And now Obama himself is working to cool down what he sees as an overheated political climate. In October, at a panel discussion for the foundation, he warned against the pitfalls of woke cancel culture, telling a gathering of young activists that if all you're doing is casting stones, you're probably not going to get that far. This month, at a gathering of influential Democrats, he cautioned 2020 contenders against pushing too far, too fast on policy. This is still a country that is less revolutionary than it's interested in improvement. And I think Obama showed that during his presidency. While at times he had big dreams of what he wanted to do, like the Affordable Care Act, which somehow they're going to spin to be a conservative position. Apparently it wasn't good enough for him. I mean, this is a man who introduced DACA, and he introduced the Affordable Care Act, two of the most, I sense Social Security probably, two of the most socialist programs we've had in the country's history, and apparently it's not far enough for these people. And you still have to remember, 50% of the country wanted nothing to do with this stuff. The Affordable Care Act was jammed down the Americans' throats. If you remember Nancy Pelosi, who somehow remained the minority leader or the majority leader after that, told us that we had to pass to know what was in it. Things like that. It was jammed down because they knew it wouldn't get passed if the Republicans came back into power. What was it? That was 2012. So I think it was 2014, something like that. I don't remember the dates. Don't quote me. I'm not a whale biologist. Let me keep reading, but I'm gonna skip a lot of this. That remark helps explain why so many of the candidates' proposals seem so far left to Obama. The former president was skeptical of sweeping change, bullish on markets, sanguine about the use of military force, high on individual responsibilities, and faithful to a set of old-school personal values. Compare that with proposals from his would-be successors: Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, free college, a wealth tax, and universal basic income. These first one right here, except for bullish, for sanguine on the use of military force, like I think that most Americans in the country are going to agree with those kind of things. So I'm not sure where you're trying to go with this, but it all comes together right here. But his constant search of consensus for ways to bring blue America and red America together sometimes led him to policies that use Republican means to achieve more liberal ends. The underlying concept for his signature legislation, the Affordable Care Act, with its individual mandate, was devised by a right-wing Heritage Foundation and first implemented on state level by Mitt Romney, the then Republican governor of Massachusetts. Mitt Romney was slammed for this bill over and over and over again by Republicans, and nobody liked it. So tying this to Republicans and Mitt Romney specifically does not make the Affordable Care Act a Republican plan or make it better. It doesn't. They're trying to say it didn't go far enough, and that because a Republican was involved, that it's not socialist at all. It's not. That's what this guy is getting at. Obama wanted to protect Americans from the effects of the prolonged recession, so he agreed in one of his defining votes as a senator to bail out the banks. And as a president, he prioritized recovering over punishing bankers for their role in the financial crisis. In his first inaugural address, he affirmed the power of the free market to generate wealth and expand freedom. Now, the whole banks thing, we can argue about what that means, but this last sentence is pretty telling. In his first inaugural address, he affirmed the power of the free market to generate wealth and expand freedom. And he's going to say a couple more things on that as we go on. But essentially, this guy is saying he doesn't like capitalism, and the fact that Obama is a capitalist is is why he's a conservative, as if capitalism is wrong in every form. Until Sandy Hook's tragedy in 2012, Obama studiously avoided push for gun control. Indeed, in his first term, he signed laws that loosened restrictions on bringing firearms to national parks and on Amtrak. Though cast as a dithering peacenik who led from behind, he struck his thesis that the imperative to end the Iraq war is to be able to get more troops in Afghanistan, and he prosecuted a drone war in Somalia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Yemen. First off, Obama had a lot of rhetoric on gun control. He never enforced a lot of laws on it, but he was saying Obama is pro-gun and tried to avoid pushing laws is just wrong. And saying somebody should be trying to go full crazy and need to push for gun control after a tragedy like Sandy Hook is just crazy. That is not when you need to be pushing gun control laws. First off, these are the emotional liberals that have taken over that are everything that's bad about the party, and criticizing criticizing Obama on wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen, Pakistan, all these places. Nobody likes these wars that were going on. Nobody likes the stupid stuff he did there, the drone strikes, the adding troops to Afghanistan, things like that. It's good that he got us out of Iraq, but it's not like any of your Democrats wanted to get out of these places. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote from Democrats, and she would have us in all these wars, war with Russia, war in Syria. She's a freaking war hawk, and most of the Democrats are these days. And you're gonna tell me that he's a conservative, right? War is not these days a Republican position; it's a Democratic position. Republicans in general these days do not support most foreign wars, and it's just crazy. That's an old boomer position. And if you talk to most young conservatives these days, they do not want to be involved in this stuff. They are very much more libertarian on these type of things than Democrats ever will be. Obama's approach to politics was marked by a circumspection that went even deeper into policies. To be conservative, as philosopher Michael Oakeshott, a movement hero, once put it, is to prefer the familiar to the unknown, to prefer the tried to the untried, fact to mystery, and the actual to the possible, the limited to the unbound, the near to the distant, and the sufficient to the superabundant, the convenient to the perfect, present to the laughter of utopian bliss. The former president channeled this sentiment faithfully when he said recently that the average American doesn't think they have to be completely tear down the system to remake it. He believes fundamentally the American model works, even if it hasn't been allowed to work for everybody. I'm going to end it here. There's about 2 more paragraphs, but this is essentially it. I'm just going to talk about this last part. This is the problem with the Democrat Party. I think I've said that 2 or 3 times in this video already, but the fact that you think that the American model is completely broken, that the system doesn't work, whenever it's been working for years and people are doing great in it now. I mean, there are definitely problems. There's wage problems. There's college the college debt issue. There's all kinds of issues, but we're the best system out there, and we always have been, always will be. As we can continually fix problems, things only get better. And the fact that you want to tear everything down is a big issue. There's 2 types of people in this world. There's pragmatic people who want to fix the problems and help expand the American dream, make things better. And there's people who think everything we've done is wrong. America's a terrible place. Americans are terrible. If you agree with Republicans or conservative values or anything like that, which I wouldn't even call myself any of that stuff, but if you even sympathize with any of this stuff, you're a racist and you don't know what you're talking about. You have to be a total insane communist, I guess, these days to be a liberal sweetheart. If you're not Elizabeth Warren or you're Bernie Sanders, why are you even running? That's why Tulsi Gabbard isn't big anymore. All right, that's the end of the video. Please read this. I'm not saying read it because it's a good article. I'm saying read it because you have to put yourself in the shoes of these insane people. All right, you guys have a good night.